Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out AmItheA whole. Story 1. AITA for telling my cousin she isn't my aunt's real child. AITA? I've been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now. He has a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old with his ex-girlfriend and has full custody. She gets them every other weekend. I met his kids a year ago and have been building a relationship with them. We're both 23 and young, but we're both mature and stable. He owns his own house and business and I am in sonography school. We openly talk about marriage and are planning to elope on his birthday this summer and have been wearing wedding bands. Since we're going straight to marriage, I never called him my fiancé nor announced it online. Only close friends and family know we're getting married. We've also talked about me adopting his kids one day. I have a cousin whom I grew up with and we were really close when we were younger but grew apart during high school. She's adopted by my aunt and uncle. At a family gathering a few days ago we ran into each other after not seeing each other for almost 2 years. Since we're the closest cousins in age there, we were talking the whole time. It was awkward. She asks about my boyfriend and I was talking about our upcoming elopement and other things. She screws up her face and says she didn't know he has kids. I tell her he has 2 and she has a look of shock and disgust on her face. She tells me I'm too young to be playing stepmom and that I'm wasting my life if I marry him. I was shocked at her rudeness and tell her that I love my stepkids and I'd rather be with my boyfriend than anyone else. She says that she could never sit and pretend to love a child for a man and that she could never love a child that wasn't really hers. I bit my tongue at that since she's literally adopted and from what my mom has told me, was only adopted because my aunt is infertile and it was something she had to talk her husband into since he was unsure. I reply and said I'm not pretending anything and that of course it took time to build a bond with them and I understand if she wouldn't do it. She just looks me up and down and says I'm too pretty to resort to being a glorified babysitter and that she's gonna find it funny in 10 years to watch my stepchildren disrespect me at family events and yell that I'm not their real mom and that they're not technically lying. I told her that once I legally adopt them they'll be my children and she had the nerve to scoff. I was shocked at her audacity and asked her if she forgot she's adopted herself. She got irate saying a couple adopting a baby together is not the same thing as a desperate person playing stepmom and adopting kids that already have a mom and it'll never be their real mom. I said then I guess you're not my aunt's real child then. She started crying and left sobbing. When I tried explaining what happened everyone said I was wrong and that I shouldn't have brought her adoption up for question and I'm a major asshole and that adopting a baby as a couple is not the same as adopting your partner's kids. They're saying I have to apologize. AITA? Story 2. AITA for kicking out my sister because she wouldn't respect my wife. I, 32M, and my wife, 31F, sleep in separate bedrooms. It sounds a little weird but it isn't. My wife has went through some things and one thing she refuses to do is sleep in the same room as someone, the only exception is babies and children. She told me from the beginning she trusts me with every fiber of her being but she just cannot do it. Of course I didn't care and I have my own little bat cave where I sleep. Now here's where the actual story is. My sister, 27F, asked if she could stay over at our house for the weekend because apparently her and her roommate got into an argument. Me and my wife agreed and I told my sister about my wife's room thing, if you know she's sleeping don't go in there. My sister was always kind of a spoiled brat but it really shone here. She complained that the bed in the quest room was too lumpy and she didn't want to sleep in my room because of my man smell. After all this it was obvious that she would complain about the couch too. I told her my wife's room was off limits and it was either the options we gave her or she could find a motel. She agreed and everything seemed fine, until I woke up at 3 in the damn morning to my wife yelling along with my sister. When I went to go see what happened, my wife was crying, and my sister was just yelling back. I learned now that my sister sleeps in her underwear, so that made it even worse. I got into the argument and starting yelling at my sister to get her crap and get out. Had one rule and she broke it. Her last statement was calling my wife a crybaby. My wife told me that my sister was trying to sleep in her room, possibly trying to kick her out. After that I got text messages and calls from my parents saying I was a horrible brother for kicking her out like that, and agreeing with her saying that my wife was a crybaby and she should suck it up. Of course I just didn't listen to it, but my wife came to me and starting talking about how I could have handled it better, and how she got texts from my mother saying the same. She said later the same day that she has happy I protected her. Still don't know why she said that, but it was probably my mother. This is really for if I should just apologize and get my parents off my ass. AITA. Story 3. AITA for not preparing my pregnant wife food. My wife is 5 months pregnant and has started to feel hungry a lot. She is recovering from vomiting constantly and now it's just once in a week or two. We both work from home. I try to do the majority of household chores, cooking, dishes, laundry, cleaning, breakfast, lunch, dinner etc. Though it's a small apartment and no kids, so it's not really much work. And we typically just have milk and bread for breakfast, which I bring to her bed. She helps with cooking whenever she is feeling good, and very lately she has started to cook more than me, otherwise I cook the dinner with often some assistance from her, cutting onions etc. We save the dinner for lunch next day. It's a good going most of the time. The problem is that my wife keeps complaining to me that she is hungry and I haven't fed her. I do offer snacks like banana, fruits, and nuts, but she says she is looking for some real food because she is really hungry. When I ask her what do you want me to make, she often doesn't have an answer and tells me she doesn't know but is hungry. If I offer to make something, say, soup, or boiled potatoes, she shoots it down for one reason or the other: it's carb and not good, it's too light and she is too hungry etc. This gets me visibly frustrated. Today, she agreed to a serving of watermelon which I cut and served. While cutting it, I asked her to tell me what she wants to eat because she will start complaining in while that she is hungry and I can't immediately have something ready to eat because it takes preparation. She said she is good for a while and didn't entertain my question. As predicted, when I visited her room in an hour or so after work, she started pouting that she is hungry and I didn't feed her anything since lunch throughout the day. This made me a bit angry because I did feed her the melon and some dry snacks. It just wasn't a proper food. Moreover, I had asked her what to eat exactly for this reason, and she had refused to answer then. I told her she is expecting too much from me, both figuring out what to make and make them. I asked her that she should at least take responsibility for figuring out what to eat and let me know in advance. She felt like I was invalidating her and then said okay, won't tell you anything from now on, pouting. I got annoyed and left the room. AITA. Story 4. AITA for punishing my son with 300 chores. We have a chore chart. My 3 children have to 4 chores a day. They aren't hard, like make you bed or sweep you carpet. If you get to them when you get home, it takes usually 20 minutes in all. Every kid has different chores depending on age. Can't have the 7-year-old take the kitchen trash out. It works really well overall and they can see their 4 chores each day for the month. My son has been pawing of his chores to his youngest sister 12. So she basically has been doing 8 chores a day. My daughter came to me upset, not understanding why I was giving his chores to her. I wasn't. She was lied to by him, and since they usually do them when I am at work, I didn't notice. So as a punishment, since he had her do his chores for about a little over a month, 36 days, he has to do 300 chores on top of his chores already. Since that basically the amount she has been doing for the time that month. He was not happy, but really if he just does a ton of cleaning on the weekend it won't be that horrible, and some chores overlap. My husband hears about it and claims I am going overboard. That it is an upsetting amount. He tried to retract the punishment, but I put my foot down. AITA, is this too much? Since people asked, my daughter has the choice of take 36 days off or get extra allowance for the work she did. She hasn't chosen yet. A little confusion. He is still doing daily chores, but they will overlap with the 300 chore list. So you do a task, it is marked off both lists. This will make him do at least 4 chores a day. Overall it will still be a total of 300 chores. Sorry for the confusion. Story 5. AITA for exposing my friend's real age. I, 19F, have a good friend, 19F, and she's a really kind and sweet person, but the problem with her is that recently she started feeling like she missed out on those youthful teenage years, 16 to 18 I'm guessing, because of COVID and also her social anxiety that she had before glowing up and going to therapy. So she started telling people that she's 2 years younger than she really is because she wants to experience whatever it is that she feels she missed. She goes to parties and hangs out with the crowd a couple years younger than us, especially younger guys' attention seems to be what she's craving. She dragged me to one of these hangouts because she didn't want to go alone, and honestly it's not that different from people our age, which I tried telling her, but anyway I digress. One of the boys asked which school we go to and I said we're in university name. That made everyone confused because the timeline of her being 2 years younger now doesn't match. I kind of shut up because I felt embarrassed, especially if she told them the same about me before we arrived. She tried to explain and eventually everyone kind of got over it, but she was really upset on our way back and says I did it on purpose and that it hurt her. I'm sad that she feels that she missed out on an important life chapter because of factors that weren't in her control for the most part, but I don't know what to make of this entire situation. AITA for telling the guys we're in university. Story 6. Wibda if I told my wife it's her fault her children feel a certain way. My 44M, wife Tracy, 40F, just celebrated her birthday party. Due to some decisions and circumstances before I was in the picture, she lost custody of her kids. Due to this, she has court-ordered visitations 3-4x/year. She has 3 kids, Mike, 7M, Stephanie, 13F, and Jason, 18M. Recently she had one of her visits at an event that was planned for her birthday party. So of course, being a party, she had friends there as well. One of these friends brought their child, 5-6F, as well. Now, the 2 youngest kids really like me. They spend a good portion of the time around me. The oldest doesn't have a problem with me, but we're just not that close. Before said friend arrived, almost each time Mike would go up to bowl, I would be up there helping him because Tracy was either talking to the other adults, or doing something else. I would tell her multiple times to go up there and help Mike. But once her friend and their child arrived, it seemed all attention went to them. Mike and the other child got along, and would be trying to bowl together at times. But whenever Mike wasn't there, then Tracy would be up there with her, or talking to her friend. It got to a point that Tracy's father said to me she needs to spend more time with her kids than her friend, to which I agreed. Fast forward to today, she receives a text saying there will be no more visits. That Jason feels like she always ignores him at the visits, Stephanie, who did not come to the last visit due to getting ill the night before, doesn't want to see her anymore, and that Mike doesn't know who she is. I want to show her support, but part of me feels their feelings are justified. It was noticeable by others who are not even around much. When we were leaving, instead of going to the car her children were riding in to say goodbye, she was more concerned with her friend. Mike, which upsets me, saying Mike doesn't know who she is, was calling for her to come say goodbye. Wibda if I told my wife that it's her fault her children don't want any more visits? That she practically ignored them in favor of spending time with her friend. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.